The heated argument was escalating, and you could feel the tension crackling in the air. Your heart was racing, your palms were sweaty, and you could barely hear your partner's words over the sound of your own racing thoughts. "This is it," you thought. "Our relationship is over." Sound familiar? If you're a man navigating the sometimes turbulent waters of romantic relationships, chances are you've been there before. Arguments and conflicts can feel like relationship kryptonite, the very thing that tears couples apart, shattering the bond you've worked so hard to build. But what if I told you that arguments don't have to be the relationship-ruining boogeyman you've been led to believe? In fact, when approached with the right mindset and skill set, conflict can actually be a powerful catalyst for growth, intimacy, and a stronger, more resilient partnership. In this video, we're going to explore proven conflict resolution techniques that can help men like you navigate arguments and disagreements in a way that actually strengthens your relationship. You'll learn how to identify the root causes of conflict and address them productively. Communicate your needs and feelings in a way your partner can truly hear. Resolve disputes without escalating to hurtful or damaging behavior. Emerge from conflicts feeling closer, more understood, and more connected. By the end, you'll have a toolbox of strategies that will transform the way you approach disagreements, allowing you to turn what was once a relationship-destroying weakness into one of your greatest strengths. So, if you're ready to bid farewell to the days of white-knuckle, anxiety-inducing arguments and hello to a new era of constructive conflict resolution, read on. Your path to relationship harmony starts here. Understanding the role of conflict in healthy relationships. Before we dive into the how-to of effective conflict resolution, it's important to first address a common misconception: the belief that arguments and conflicts are inherently bad for relationships. The truth is, a certain degree of conflict is not only normal but also essential for the growth and evolution of a partnership. After all, if two people with distinct personalities, experiences, and perspectives never disagreed on anything, it might suggest a concerning lack of authenticity or self-expression. Healthy conflict is a sign that both partners feel safe and secure enough to openly share their thoughts and feelings, even when they differ, explains relationship expert Dr. Samantha Rodman. It's when that conflict turns destructive or abusive that it becomes a problem. The key is learning how to navigate those disagreements in a way that brings you closer together, rather than driving you apart. Because when done right, conflict can actually strengthen the bonds of intimacy, trust, and understanding in your relationship. Conflict, when handled with care and skill, can be an opportunity to deepen your connection, says Dr. Rodman. It allows you to truly understand each other's perspectives, find compromises, and develop a greater appreciation for your partner's unique needs and experiences. So, the next time you find yourself in the throes of an argument with your significant other, resist the urge to panic or assume the worst. Instead, view it as a chance to put your conflict resolution prowess to the test and emerge with an even stronger, more resilient relationship. The foundation of effective conflict resolution. Before we dive into the specific strategies and techniques for navigating disagreements, let's first establish the core principles that will serve as the foundation for your approach. Emotional awareness and regulation. At the heart of effective conflict resolution lies a deep understanding and mastery of your own emotions. When tensions are high, it's all too easy to get swept up in a whirlwind of feelings: anger, defensiveness, hurt, fear, and so on. But by cultivating emotional awareness and the ability to regulate your responses, you can avoid the pitfall of reactive, impulsive behaviors that often derail constructive dialogue. Take a moment to pause, tune in to what you're truly feeling, and respond from a place of intentionality rather than pure emotion. Being able to name and express your feelings in a productive way is crucial, says relationship coach Michael Fiore. It allows you to communicate your needs and perspective clearly, while also creating space for your partner to do the same. Active listening. Just as emotional awareness is key for you, actively listening to your partner is essential for resolving conflicts effectively. Far too often, we're so preoccupied with formulating our next response that we fail to truly hear what the other person is saying. When you're embroiled in an argument, make a concerted effort to set aside your own agenda and focus solely on understanding your partner's point of view. Nod, make eye contact, and occasionally rephrase or summarize what they've said to demonstrate your engagement. This not only helps to de-escalate tensions by making your partner feel heard and validated, but it also provides you with valuable insights that can inform the direction of the discussion. compassion and empathy. At the core of any successful conflict resolution strategy lies compassion, the ability to approach your partner's perspective with understanding, rather than judgment. When you can put yourself in your partner's shoes and imagine how they might be feeling, it becomes much easier to find common ground and work towards a mutually satisfactory resolution, explains Dr. Rodman. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything your partner says or believes, but by tapping into your empathy and striving to see the situation from their point of view, you create an environment of mutual respect and openness that fosters constructive dialogue. Compromise and collaboration. Ultimately, the goal of effective conflict resolution isn't to win the argument or force your partner to concede to your demands. Rather, it's to find a solution that satisfies the core needs and concerns of both individuals. This may require some give and take on both sides, as well as a willingness to get creative and explore alternative options. But by approaching conflicts with a collaborative, problem-solving mindset, you demonstrate your commitment to the relationship and your desire to find a mutually beneficial outcome. Compromise doesn't mean that one person has to lose or sacrifice everything they want, says Fiore. It's about finding a middle ground where both partners feel their needs have been respected and addressed. With these foundational principles as your guide, you'll be well on your way to navigating conflicts in a way that strengthens your relationship rather than weakening it. Practical strategies for resolving conflicts constructively. Now that we've established the core elements of effective conflict resolution, let's dive into some specific strategies and techniques you can put into practice. 1. Set the stage for productive dialogue. The way you initiate a difficult conversation can have a significant impact on its trajectory and outcome. Before launching into the heart of the issue, take a moment to choose a neutral, private location. Avoid having sensitive discussions in public spaces or areas where you're likely to be interrupted or overheard. Time it right. Pick a moment when you're both calm and receptive, rather than when emotions are already running high. Set ground rules. Establish mutually agreed upon guidelines for the discussion, such as no name-calling, no interrupting, and taking breaks if needed. By taking these proactive steps, you create an environment that's conducive to open, honest, and productive dialogue, and one where you're both more likely to feel safe, heard, and willing to engage constructively. 2. Use I statements. When expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs, opt for I statements rather than you statements. This subtle linguistic shift can make a world of difference in how your partner receives and responds to your message. For example, instead of saying, "You always leave your dirty dishes in the sink," try, "I feel frustrated when I see dirty dishes left in the sink because it makes it harder for me to keep the kitchen clean." I statements help to frame the issue as your own personal experience, rather than an accusation or attack on your partner. This reduces the likelihood of defensiveness and creates an opening for empathetic understanding and collaborative problem-solving. 3. Listen actively and seek to understand. As we discussed earlier, active listening is a cornerstone of effective conflict resolution. When your partner is sharing their perspective, make a concerted effort to truly hear and comprehend what they're saying, rather than simply waiting for your turn to speak. Nod, make eye contact, and occasionally rephrase or summarize their points to demonstrate your engagement. Ask clarifying questions if something is unclear, and avoid the temptation to interrupt or discount their feelings. By placing the focus on understanding your partner's experience, you not only create an environment of mutual respect, but you also gather valuable insights that can inform the direction of the conversation. 4. Validate and empathize. Even if you don't fully agree with your partner's point of view, it's important to validate their emotions and demonstrate empathy. This doesn't mean you have to concede the argument or agree with their perspective. It simply means acknowledging their feelings as legitimate and understandable. For example, you might say, "I can see how my actions made you feel frustrated and disrespected. That must have been really difficult for you, and I'm sorry I caused you to feel that way." Validating your partner's emotions helps to de-escalate tensions and paves the way for more constructive dialogue. It also helps to build trust and intimacy as your partner feels truly heard and understood. 5. Seek compromise and collaborate on solutions. Rather than digging in your heels and stubbornly fighting for your own position, approach conflicts with a spirit of collaboration and a willingness to compromise. Brainstorm potential solutions that address both of your core needs and concerns, and be open to creative alternatives that you may not have considered initially. Remember, the goal is to find a mutually satisfactory resolution, not to win the argument. This might involve making concessions, finding middle ground, or exploring completely new approaches. The key is to maintain an open, flexible mindset and a commitment to reaching an outcome that you both feel good about. 6. Take breaks when needed. If tensions start to escalate or you find yourselves going in circles, don't be afraid to call a temporary timeout. Agree to revisit the discussion at a later time, when you've both had a chance to cool off and gain some perspective. Use this break to practice self-care. Take a walk, meditate, or engage in an activity that helps you regain your emotional equilibrium. This not only prevents the argument from spiraling out of control, but it also demonstrates your commitment to resolving the conflict in a healthy, productive manner. 7. Reflect and learn. After the dust has settled, take some time to reflect on the conflict and what you've learned from the experience. What went well? What could you have done differently? How might you approach a similar situation in the future? This introspective process is crucial for continuous growth and improvement in your conflict resolution skills. It also provides an opportunity to acknowledge your partner's efforts and celebrate the fact that you've navigated a challenging situation together. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to continually expand your toolbox and refine your approach, so that you can handle disagreements with increasing skill and confidence. Putting it all together. A real-world example. To illustrate how these conflict resolution strategies might play out in practice, let's consider a common scenario. A disagreement over household chores and responsibilities. The situation. You and your partner have been together for several years, and you've generally enjoyed a harmonious and fulfilling relationship. However, lately, you've noticed an uptick in tension and bickering over the division of household tasks, like cleaning, laundry, and grocery shopping. You feel like you're bearing the brunt of the workload, while your partner doesn't seem to be pulling their weight. Meanwhile, your partner feels that your expectations are unreasonable and that you're being overly critical of their efforts. Applying effective conflict resolution techniques. 1. Set the stage. You suggest having a calm, private discussion about the issue when you're both available and not already feeling frustrated. 2. Use I statements. When the conversation begins, you say, "I've been feeling overwhelmed by the amount of household chores and responsibilities I've been taking on lately. I want us to find a solution that works for both of us." 3. Listen actively. As your partner shares their perspective, you nod, make eye contact, and occasionally rephrase what they've said to demonstrate your understanding. "So, it sounds like you feel like I've been too demanding and that you're doing the best you can. Is that right?" 4. Validate and empathize. "I can understand how my frustration might have come across as criticism. That wasn't my intent, and I appreciate how hard you've been working around the house." 5. Seek compromise. You both brainstorm potential solutions, such as creating a chore chart, taking turns with certain tasks, or hiring a cleaning service for the more time-consuming jobs. 6. Take breaks. At one point, the discussion starts to get heated, so you both agree to take a 20-minute breather before returning to the conversation. 7. Reflect and learn. After reaching an agreement, you discuss what went well and what you might do differently next time a similar conflict arises. By approaching the situation with emotional awareness, active listening, empathy, and a collaborative spirit, you're able to resolve the conflict in a way that leaves you both feeling heard, understood, and committed to a mutually satisfactory solution. Mastering the art of constructive conflict resolution. Navigating conflicts and disagreements in a relationship is never easy, but with the right mindset and techniques, it's a skill that can be developed and refined over time. Remember, the key is to view conflicts not as relationship-destroying obstacles, but as opportunities for growth, intimacy, and a stronger, more resilient partnership. By embracing the principles of emotional awareness, active listening, compassion, and collaborative problem-solving, you can transform the way you approach disagreements, turning what was once a source of anxiety and tension into a pathway to deeper connection and understanding. So, the next time you find yourself in the midst of a heated argument with your partner, take a deep breath, reflect on the strategies outlined in this guide, and approach the situation with a renewed sense of confidence and optimism. With practice and persistence, you'll become a conflict resolution master, able to navigate even the thorniest of disagreements in a way that brings you closer together. The future of your relationship is in your hands. Are you ready to embrace the power of constructive conflict and take your partnership to new heights? Start putting these techniques into practice today, and watch as the dynamics in your relationship begin to shift in remarkable ways.